In our previous video, we used F1 data from the last 20 years to examine whether dominance always results in boring races. In this video, which was produced before the Qatar F1 weekend, we have extended our review to analyze the results underpinning Max and Red Bull's current record-breaking performances, which have given rise, rightly or wrongly, to accusations of boring, rigging, and team orders. It appears that the accusations of boring may have arisen primarily because of Liberty Media's self-inflicted wounds, with their declaration that they imposed a new set of rules specifically designed to eliminate the dominance that they claimed was killing the sport. Critically, during that dominant Hamilton and Mercedes period that Liberty Media wanted to end so badly, there were no suggestions that results were being rigged by F1 and FIA, or that Mercedes was cheating, so why are they coming up now? Could it be because Hamilton and his teammates were free to compete for the title and engaged in some very tight races during the season? Well, let's see what the charts have to say. Our first chart is of the numerical points differences between the champion and the runner-up over the last 20 years. This can be an indicator of how dominant the champion was, or how tight the competition was. With 6 or 7 races to go in the current season, Max has opened the biggest gap ever in the history of F1 between champion and runner-up, and, critically, between teammates as well. To account for the fact that the points system changed over the years, we have also converted the numerical points difference into percentages. This tells exactly the same story as the numerical points difference chart. We have also analyzed the number of wins. The numerical wins chart produced the same narrative as the points charts, with Max's record-breaking 2022 season set to be eclipsed by his 2023 season. The historical trend, in a season where the team is dominant and the drivers are free to compete, is reflected in the win percentage chart from our previous video, where the team outperforms the driver significantly, as demonstrated by the Mercedes period of dominance. A review of the win percent chart, in the case of Max and Red Bull, shows the level of his outperformance closely matching that of the team. Comparing the win percent chart alongside the numerical points chart and the parent table reveals striking similarities between the dominant Red Bull period of the Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber pairing from 2010 to 2013 and the current pairing of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. It should be recalled that Red Bull gained a reputation of favoring Seb over Mark during that period. It is therefore not surprising that a team with a history of favoring one driver over another is being accused of repeating the same practice. It should be noted that sometimes when a dominant team allows its drivers to race, they may run the risk of racing each other out of the title. Red Bull's reputation for practicing bias, despite protestations to the contrary, may be underpinned by the fact that Checo has been asked to give up wins and positions to Max, which were never reciprocated, and Max, like Seb, disobeyed team orders when they were to his disadvantage, and suffered no real consequence. Furthermore, Checo appears to have had more problems with his car and pit stops in comparison to Verstappen. This background may be the reason why Max and Red Bull are now being booed at circuits around the world, including by Red Bull fans, to chants of Checo. If you take our chart breakdowns and add them to Max's other numerous record-breaking performances relative to his teammates and other drivers, and add those to his team's even more striking, record-breaking performances, and, with all these taking place during an era that was designed to eliminate dominance, then questions start to arise. Either Max is as exceptional a driver as Ben Johnson was as a sprinter, and Lance Armstrong was as a cyclist, or Liberty Media and the FIA have got the same problem as the athletics and cyclist federations had. If you then consider the fact that Red Bull's unbelievable engine dominance in the last 2 seasons is coming to them as a first-time engine manufacturer, trouncing established and revered engine manufacturers, like Mercedes and Ferrari, under the supervision of the regulatory body that engineered the Abu Dhabi debacle to favor Red Bull, then the red flags get brighter. The red flags become even more glaring when it is noted that Red Bull, the only team to have breached the newly imposed cost caps that Liberty Media and the FIA introduced to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots in their drive to generate closer competition, received the most nominal of sanctions. The soft touch that Red Bull appear to have enjoyed for breaching regulations off track pales in comparison with the open rigging that they enjoyed for breaching rules on track, as the umpires continued the practice of rewriting the rules during races for Max and Red Bull's express benefit. This, of course, after all the soul-searching post-Abu Dhabi. The fact that Toto Wolff was unable to do anything about this despite his much-vaunted pledge to hold the FIA accountable when he withdrew his appeal is by the by. Turning to the track record of Liberty Media, who have not expressed any concerns or regrets, despite ushering in an era of unprecedented dominance, under a scheme designed to prevent exactly that, the red flags become red hot. Flashes of the outrage and reputational damage post-Abu Dhabi occurred recently when John Malone's latest acquisition, CNN, hosted a town hall event for Donald Trump, at which Malone's newly appointed CEO engaged in the most outrageous rigging to attract Trump supporters to CNN. This created a ferocious backlash that led to his immediate departure. It is sad to note that the open but nuanced criticism of the town hall by CNN personnel echoed those of F1 personnel in the wake of Abu Dhabi. When observed over a period of time, an accumulation of isolated instances of overt or covert rigging produces a series of outlying results which are just too good to be true. It therefore appears that John Malone has set F1 on a course that will continue to tarnish its image. In conclusion, there are just too many coincidences to believe that the anointed team and driver of a Liberty Media that is prone to rigging are running away with all the plaudits in F1 without any chicanery, both overt and covert. This callous disregard for the integrity of the sport is an affront to the memory of those who have risked and suffered lasting injury or died to the glory of the sport.